Hello and welcome back to my channel. Where did I leave off on the last one? The last video I had moved to Baldwin Park, and I gotta tell you, a lot of things happened in Baldwin Park for the short time we lived there. Where shall I begin? Well, we had the worst neighbors anybody in the world could have. They were a nightmare. I'll tell you, their last names was Kelly. The Kellys. And we had a few other neighbors that were pretty bad. We had this Hispanic neighbors next door, and they loved to throw firecrackers at my sister and I. And we'd be sitting on the porch playing, and the big one would come over, Eddie, and he would throw firecrackers at us, and right next to us, and scare us. He just found that a thrill. That's just a little bit of Baldwin Park. These neighbors were also good friends, but the kids pretty much tortured my sister and I. We were just little kids at the time, like 4 and 5, when we moved into this place. I have no recall of moving into Baldwin Park. But unfortunately, I've got memories. Some good, mostly bad. It's where I started school, kindergarten, and my mom made me repeat kindergarten for not holding the pencil right. Didn't even know I was repeating kindergarten until my first grader friends had come over and said what I was doing over there on the other side of the fence with the kindergartners. Found that humiliating. Didn't realize. No one explained to me. I was only 4 when I started kindergarten, so really I guess I was too young to go on to first grade, excuse me. Anyways, I don't know where to start. I'm going to start with the neighbors. I'm going to tell you about a Christmas, my worst Christmas ever, for my sister and I both. It was a good Christmas morning. We woke up. It was in the 60s. Not weather-wise, but it was like 1962 or so. Maybe 61. And we woke up to a great Christmas morning, and we got what we really wanted. Betsy got a doll, and I had got Cecil. There was a cartoon back then called Cecil and Beanie, and it was a sea serpent, and he was a stuffed toy that Santa supposedly bought me or got me, and it wrapped around my waist. And you pull the string, and it talked to you. And Betsy's doll was just, I never liked dolls, so I can't remember if it was a Betsy Witsy or what it was. Anyways, that morning, we went outside and we were playing, and here come the kids, and they asked us, what'd you get for Christmas, and can we see it? And so my sister and I handed over our toys so they could see it, and they took off running. And I chased them, and they said, hey, we're going to make the toys better, just go away, And so I went back to the house, upset that they took our toys, because I knew something wasn't right. The next thing I know, the kids down the street, the Kellys, were going into the next door neighbor's house, and I saw that they were carrying a suitcase with paint all over it, so I knew it was paint. Well, they were gone a while, and Betsy and I just sat there in the yard, not knowing what to do, little kids. And I still don't know why my parents didn't do anything, or if they even knew anything, or I just don't know. I don't have any recall of my parents doing anything. Or us even telling. I don't know what the deal was. But a while later, they came out, and they came up to us, and we were out in the front yard, and they threw my Cecil over the fence. We had like a little fence there. And they pulled out all his stuffing and tore him up and threw him over the fence. And they took my sister's doll, pulled all her arms and legs off, put paint of all colors all over her, cut her hair off, and threw all the parts over the fence at us and said, Merry Christmas. Yeah, that was what it was like living in Baldwin Park. The neighbors were evil. And it might have hurt our psyche a little bit. My sister, God bless her, has many, many mental problems. She's overrun with them. It's really sad. She became very violent through her life, but her relationship and our relationship is getting so much better now that we're in our 50s, but it took a long time. It took me to forgive and realize that she has issues, you know. But anyways, another time, same people, the next door neighbors and the neighbors down the street, the Kellys, came over and grabbed my sister and took off running with her down to the Kelly's house, and I chased after them. And before, let me go back just a second. Before that happened, the Jeannie and Big Eddie next door came out and were telling us that they were cannibals and asked us if we knew what cannibals were, and I didn't know what a cannibal was, but then they told me. And they went inside. Jeannie went inside the house and came out with a jar of green olives and tried to tell me those were pickled toes, you know. And, you know, I wasn't that stupid. Yeah, I was like 5, but I knew those were olives. Well, the next thing I know, they grab my sister and they run down to the Kelly's house and saying that they're going to eat her. And I chased after them, and the big kids were carrying her, and they put her up on the pool table at their house, and I ran in there, and they had a knife, and I could see that they were rubbing it on the dull side of her toes, but my sister was screaming bloody murder. She really thought they were going to cut off her toes and eat them. She was totally freaked out, and I was just freaked out that they would do it, and I was hitting them in the back and trying to pull them off of her. Finally, they let her go and laughing at us, you know. They tormented us. They simply tormented us. Well, I got so freaked out and pissed off about what they'd done that I went home, and I knew where my dad kept his hunting knife. It had a sleeve and everything in it. Being 5, I guess I really didn't understand death, so I climbed up on our fence and waited for them. And I was up on the fence, and they were chasing later on, they were chasing my sister again. And I climbed up on the fence at that point, and I jumped off, and I was trying to stab one girl, Patty, in the back. And I got her. I just kind of cut the back of her shirt. Didn't hurt her, but I do remember this part, her screaming and crying and telling my mom that I tried to kill her. And my mom making me kiss her and hug her and make up. What were they thinking? Hello, people. For one thing, I hated her. I didn't want to kiss her. I wanted to kill her. But can you believe my mom making me kiss her and her me? Ugh. Anyways, so we had to kiss and make up, and no one really sat me down to tell me the dangers of a knife. Maybe my parents weren't listening. God bless my parents. Love them to death. But they weren't always there for us. But, you know, no one's perfect, and I forgive both of them, and they were wonderful parents in different ways. Well, that is just some of the things that have happened when we moved into Baldwin Park and our crazy neighborhood. I have more to continue with later, and I will be telling you about my 2nd grade teacher who was a complete monster. Mrs. Adams, and I'm sure she's long dead, so, hey, Mrs. Adams, I guess you can't do anything about this, and almost wish you could hear it. Shame on you. Well, anyways, I'll be back with a story or stories about Mrs. Adams, the teacher from hell.